Record. Back in business. Hello, back again. Almost there. Looking. I think we have sound now. If we are again, almost there. Looking. I think we have sound now. Again, almost there. Do we still have sound? I've got to drop my volume down.
Yes.
Oh, goody. Okay.
Answer that one about the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets, Carl. Just have a stab.
Buffalo Bills and New York Jets. Can you tell me who will win between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets in the NFL? What does NFL mean? National Football League? No idea. Not a scientific question. Sorry, I failed. Buffalo Bills because they got alliteration. On the other hand, New York Jets because they refer to high-speed transport, both of which I like. There you are. I've covered. Why do you get chest pain when you, and that was from Ned Bro. Georgia Sparkle says, why do you get chest pain when you swallow food too fast? About 1/4 of all cases of supposed heart attacks going to hospitals are in fact due to reflux of food coming back up. So mechanically you're putting pressure on the heart, and nerves from the heart go into a certain part of your brain, and then so do nerves from the arm go to the same part of the brain, and also nerves from the bottom. No, actually we're talking referred pain. Forget all that last bit. Why do you get chest pain when you swallow food too fast? Because mechanically the food going down the esophagus physically, mechanically presses upon the heart. Can you make...
What's that one about the handing, the Killer Dolphin one?
Killer Dolphin. This is a 9 new tweets. What was the most surprising thing I found writing the book? That the apples, and this is from Bastard Sheep again, that apples of today have 1/3 of the iron of apples of 1940. Now, what is the Killer Dolphins one?
How many people holding hands would it take to span the Earth?
How many people holding hands would it take to span the Earth? Well, the circumference of the Earth is 40,000 kilometres. So that's 4 with 4 zeros in kilometres. So that's 4 with 7 zeros in metres. Each person can span 2 metres. Divide that by 2, it's 2 with 7 zeros. That's 7 zeros is 20 million. 20 million people. What's the next one here? And there's a free book to you. A free book. Man, the tweets are coming in so fast. Why are snowflake patterns so geometric, according to Nick? I don't know. Geometry is the universe. That is actually really deep. Is mathematics really real? Or is it something that we humans have made up? I think it's real. Geometry can't answer that too fast. Julian24K, I often skip a step, climbing stairs to save time. Okay, I'll do that too. But do I burn more energy taking one step at a time, or is there no change? If you're puffing more, you're burning more energy. It is good to push the system. Puff. It is good. 409, mail away. I'm talking to just you. Yes, I am. After the Haber process, actually the Haber process, which is the process of being able to get nitrogen out of the atmosphere, lock it into some sort of chemical and then spread that chemical across fields, made it possible for us to have 7 billion people on the planet rather than 1 billion. Is that a good thing? Yes, no, I won't get into moral values, it's too complicated, but it is one of the major important discoveries of the 20th century. Would I agree that Maillard, M-A-I-L-L-A-R-D, notice how I didn't pronounce the L, are the best chemical reaction? They are the browning, the crisping of carbohydrates and I think maybe proteins. Yes, they are good. It is good to eat food that is delicious. Why is marshmallow in vitamins? No idea, Georgia Sparkle. Is there marshmallow in sparkles? In vitamins? What does that mean? Is there, or does it mean that? Yeah? You get wisdom from everywhere. The answer is yes. Are there any issues with not getting sunlight during most of the day? Yes. I've finally got the truth on this, right? You're only supposed to live till you're about 25, then you're supposed to drop dead. But if you want to live longer, on one hand, if you do get lots of sunlight, your skin will look like a leather bag. If you don't get lots of sunlight, you'll suffer vitamin D deficiency. How do you get around it? It's just been discovered that the damage to skin, well, we knew this, damage to skin happens because of the ultraviolet. It damages the DNA and there is a repair mechanism. Now, here's the important thing just discovered in the last week or so. Ready for it? The repair mechanism sucks in the morning. it works really well in the afternoon. So you still get the same amount of ultraviolet falling on your skin, but you repair so much better in the afternoon. So you're still getting the vitamin D and the repair. You're getting the vitamin D both morning and afternoon, but you're getting the vitamin D and the repair only in the afternoon. In mice, 5 times fewer cancers. Mind you, mice are different from humans. Number 2, I haven't tried it with humans with different time clocks. Lightning. Oh, there was a buzz. Next question. Thank you. Dude Light 82. What are the negative effects of binge eating, and how can you stop it? What are the negative effects? Very bad all over your body. No need to go into them. Everybody knows what they are. How can you stop it? This is really easy. In this book, you don't have to buy this book, although I recommend it, because the one book you want to buy is, for you especially, as well as this book, is The End of Overeating by Kessler. He was a heavy. Head of the American Food and Drug Administration, a pediatric doctor and a lawyer. And he came up with a very simple sentence: make rules. Do not judge it on a case-by-case situation. Will I eat now or not? Just have an absolute rule: never eat. And if you start making absolute rules, you'll be able to get out of the binge eating. Also see your doctor if you're lucky enough to live in a wealthy country like Australia, which has a reasonable medical system, and they'll be able to get you some CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy. Have I gone to the full minute? Okay, next question. Scrolling up at the top, we got 27 new tweets. Oh my God, to think we were worried whether there'd be enough tweets. Well, that shows we weren't. Mice are different than humans. Well, they're from, but remember, a mouse is that animal which, if killed in sufficiently large quantities, will generate a PhD. Thank you, McMorgan. Free book to McMorgan. And by the way that we got penicillin, we were lucky. The normal way, you test it on mice and on guinea pigs. Penicillin kills guinea pigs. Luckily, in inverted commas, penicillin came around in the Second World War. The whole world supply was given to an English cop who had osteomyelitis. He got better. They ran out of penicillin. He got worse and began to die. They purified the penicillin out of his urine. He got better again, and then they ran out and he died. Wonderful longitudinal study. Shame about the cop. Sorry about the cop. But that proved to us that penicillin really works. Couldn't have, if we tried on guinea pigs, stand away, we wouldn't have ever had the drug. Okay, we'll be able to do, is it better to eat an unhealthy breakfast like McDonald's or skip breakfast altogether? At a result of passing and giving up on all corporate scholarship from McDonald's, I would tend to say avoid McDonald's foods if they are high in salt, high in fat and high in carbohydrate. I guess the salad would be okay if they don't have extra sugar or fat in it. Skip breakfast. Okay, here's the thing with breakfast. In English-speaking countries, if you don't have breakfast, you are some sort of homicidal, suicidal maniac. But in Western countries that do not speak English, France, Spain, the way you have breakfast is drugs and carbohydrate and a bit of alcohol. I found myself getting into this walking across Spain. Have a coffee and then maybe a little bit of a bun, and then for mid-morning you have a little sip of wine. Go figure. They have a higher life expectancy than people in Australia and America, and they smoke cigarettes like crazy. Go figure. Next, another question, Caroline. Free book to Papa Dingo. Free book to Killer Dolphin. Love your work, Killer Dolphin. Free book to Papa Dingo, Papa Ghoulie, at Papa, one of those. Oh, it's crazy stuff. Okay, looking at the other tweets. Arm span equals height, roughly. Who is only 1 metre tall? I divided it by 2. So I got 4 by 10 to the 7th and divided it by 2 to get 2 by 10 to the 7th for the number of people holding hands. It would take you around the world. But then not everybody's 2 metres tall, so multiply by 1.5. So 3 million people to go around the world. 30 million. Okay, it's only a factor of 10. Is the main ingredient from Kathleen 91 in spray tanning dihydroxyacetone harmful in any way? Do not know. I would go and check on our good friend Wikipedia, but use Wikipedia as a wonderful starting point and then go to the references. Alternatively, ring your local kids hospital because they know about kids following toxins and ask them. Xiong Long, hello, welcome. Is it true you should soak nuts and seeds before you eat? Probably not. You can still digest them. You've got a stomach. It'll eat meat. It'll handle it. What DRM 11289? Yeah, why do my toes and fingers go fully numb and grey and blue in cooler temperature? I'm talking 90 degrees and cooler. Are you a female? Yes, you've got a 40% chance of being iron deficient. Firstly, go to your low and do not smoke cigarettes. Females also smoke cigarettes, young females. So do not smoke cigarettes. See a GP, get an iron test. Conrad Debniak, what is your opinion about a mysterious code that underpins the world? I wish there was one. I think there is. It's called physics. Who is in charge of the flight of a flock of swallows? It's complicated. They all obey signals from each other. And overall, the tribe does work for itself. And if they're trying to get somewhere in a hurry, if they're fish, I know flying fish crazy, but if you've got fish, if they're trying to get somewhere in a hurry, the strong fish will go to the front. If they're just going somewhere, the strong fish will go to the back and let the weak fish pull them along. This is called collective intelligence. Another term is the wisdom of the commons. Complicated. Mysterious code that underpins the world. Blah. Maths and physics. 10 new tweets. Next one is, for an adult, quinoa. Man, have you got great chest. God.
Might not be him.
Might not be you, but I do remember reading that you should never see a movie where the guys have got bigger boobs than the girls. But you are very well muscled on your chest. It is amazing. For an adult wanting to learn, and I think it's a wonderful thing, for an adult wanting to learn more about science, where is the best place to start? High school textbooks? Probably no. What I'd do is go to your newsstand and start off, depending on what country in the world you are, Cosmos, New Scientist. Scientific American's a bit hard. Discover's good. Just try to go, Popular Mechanics, Popular Science, and follow the stuff that interests you and then buy them consistently. You'll find in New Scientist there are articles from this big to pages long, and by the time you get a few months down the line, suddenly you start seeing the same things and learning more. High school textbooks, no. Science Mags wants to know what happens to the digestive system after removal of a gallbladder. What happens is that instead of the output of the liver being, we're talking specifically about the fat solubilizing chemicals, instead of those fat solubilizing chemicals being saved up and then squirted in one go when you eat a meal of fat, they're dribbled in all the time. Not the best thing in the world, better than nothing. It's okay, you'll get by. Next one, Caroline.
Free book for that science.
Free book to Science Mags, whoever you are, Mags Lum. Okay, why does the dog sniff the corner of your eyes? Look, I would be suspicious and reluctant to allow saliva contact between you and a dog. They have different bacteria. Dogs lick their own bums. If a dog licks its bum, then licks your eye, would you rub your eye up against the dog's bum? No. So look, I wouldn't do it. Why does it? It's attracted to some smell. Don't know what it is. What's this? If you travel, Kimmy Abbott asks, if you travel far enough in the opposite direction to the rotation of the Earth, would you be travelling back in time? No, you'd be just travelling really fast in the opposite direction to the rotation of the Earth. I know, even though Superman does it in one of the movies, you can't get all of your scientific, moral and ethical knowledge from Hollywood movies. I know, it's hard to believe, but you can't get it all. McMorgan says he got a free book for being snarky. I'm not familiar with the term snarky. What does it mean?
Rude, annoying.
Well, I didn't think it was being rude and annoying. Does it hurt? Why does it hurt to poo after you have digested spicy food? From Georgia Sparkle. On one hand, a study, which I'm not entirely convinced of, claimed that there was not the ring of fire. You see, the reason that fire burn, that spicy things burn, is that you have capsaicin. Capsaicin is a chemical with a, what's that? What's the value? It's not the Scoville unit. It's measured at 16 million Scoville units. Your normal spicy foods, 10, 100, 1,000. The capsaicin itself reacts with heat sensors on your tongue. Why are there heat sensors on your anus? I don't know. There must be. I haven't read a paper on this. The answer is I don't know. If somebody can go to the trouble of finding this out on Google Scholar and then solving this mystery, then Twitter us after the show's over. We'll send you a free book because we love you. Okay, going to our newer questions. There's 28 new tweets. Why are global temperatures falling? Why emissions are skyrocketing? That's not correct, smirking liberal. In fact, global temperatures are rising, but it's not It's rocky in the same sense of watching a man with a yo-yo go up a hill. The yo-yo goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. The trend is that it's always going up. The global temperature trend is that it's always going up, and it's been increasing, not decreasing. I'm sorry, they lied to you. I've heard that the black hole at the centre of our Milky Way galaxy, according to Jake Stevens, has a density less than air. Now, I seem to remember reading that in Kip Thorne's book, Black Hole. And on one hand, the density should be so high that it should be a singularity, but the diameter of a black hole increases as the mass. I don't know. I think you're right. I can't think fast enough to get a good answer. Sorry about that. Todd Hansen asks, Superman is a lie, not in front of the kids. Do you mind? We don't want to upset the kids. Give him a free book to Todd Hansen. The Todd Hansen as opposed to a Todd Hansen. If cutting hair does not affect its length, that is correct, yep. Why then does hair grow back when it's shaven? Because there's this factory under there, all these factories called hair follicles, and their job is to keep pumping it out. So it doesn't grow back longer. So yeah, that's right, it'll still grow back to the same length, and that's on the background that you're getting older, the testosterone receptors are shrinking and changing, the testosterone types are changing with time, and so therefore you will end up with eventually going bald, maybe if you're unlucky like me. Thank you, Alison Blacker. When I am thinking about past events, says 409 Malloway, especially emotion related, do I suddenly feel that I'm actually there? If they're emotional, they can go through into your basal bits, you know, your brain stem. They can, especially if they involve smell. And who wrote that book, the French author, in memory of times past? Proust, Marcel Proust. Proust. Is it Proust or Proust? One of those. And he talks about smelling the Madeleine cookies when he goes, which was the same when he had in his aunt's place, and suddenly all of reality comes around him. If you can trigger some basal parts of your brain, like smell, you feel like you're there. And emotions probably trigger that. Georgia Sparkle, thanks for the shout out to Cosmos Magazine. I guess I just did one. Love the interns on staff. Oh, I do. I do. Yes. Why do Alison Blacker asks, why do eyebrows and arm hair stop at a certain length? Because of a genetic clock, and occasionally it goes longer. We've evolved so that if your eyebrow hairs go over here, down to here, you can't see the killer dinosaur coming at you. Okay, it was a joke because dinosaurs weren't around when humans were around. With all the Wi-Fi stuff in the world, which is obviously causes a change in the atmosphere, is it? Don't know. Is causing cancers? Well, no, brain cancers are actually dropping, which is an odd thing about mobile phones. Why are some carrots purple and some orange? Asks Sline or Sandra M. They taste and smell the same. The orange colour is due to a chemical called carotene, which then gets turned into vitamin A, and I guess it's a variation on it. You need to speak to an optical chemist on that one. Moving right up to the top for the 11 new tweets. Is listening to loud music on headphones really making us deaf? Yes, it is. Sam, when I go to these gigs, I have earplugs in here, and then I have the yellow or orange industrial grade headphones on top. I might look like a dork, but I can feel the loud music vibrating the chest, and at the live gig there are so many echoes that you can't hear the music clearly. With the double layers of protection, not only am I protecting my ears, I can hear the music more cloudly. Go figure. Georgia Sparkle says capsaicin receptors are apparently in your anus. When you say Googled, is that Google Scholar with a peer-reviewed paper? Remember, the internet in general is as reliable as a drunk guy in a pub, standing in his own vomit, scribbling in text on the toilet wall. I want a peer-reviewed paper, thank you. Josh Dagan says, why does beer lose its ability to pour with the head when you chill it? By putting it in the freezer for 30 minutes. When you chill it, you must be changing the viscosity and not making it more difficult for the bubbles to come out. It's complicated. I wouldn't even dream of giving an easy answer to this one, because the mystery of how champagne forms bubbles was solved only in December 2000 in an article by Professor Jean-Liguier Belair, written in the Scientific American. And it's a tricky thing. So there's many factors, including nucleation centres in the forbidden zone, where the pressure in the liquid is less or greater than the pressure in the bubble, because the pressure is equal to 2T on R, the inversely proportional. Kowalski. Karl Wolski says, if the Earth runs out of coal, it's not going to run out for thousands of years, can we start to use diamonds as fuel by reversing the process? Well, you can use diamonds as fuel, sure, Messi, by reversing the process. If the Earth runs out of coal, can we start to use diamonds as fuel by reversing what process? No, we can't understand the question. Justin Bieber has 14 million Twittos, according to Brett Beattie. The world population just hit 2 billion. Is 0.2% of the population with no taste and bad hiccups acceptable? Brett, it should be, is it is or are? We'll give you a book anyway, regardless of the grammar. While we do not disagree with your populace, we do like the fact you use mathematics, and Justin Bieber has many fine qualities. Snarky, a punctuation mark like a backwards question mark, which indicates a double meaning, usually ironic or sarcastic. Thank you, Chris the Neck, for giving us that definition.
Let's give Chris the Neck.
Chris the Neck, thank you for helping us out. You get one of these, which, as it says on the back, is guaranteed to make yous smarter. Noise, says Trixie Burrito, watching from my desk in Carslaw, wherever that is. Up the road, is it? Yep. Given we are wired to eat and things taste good and feel good, how come we all have different tastes? Okay. Your tongue, the taste receptors are mostly on the outside, on the perimeter. They come in different densities. 400 per square centimetre, 200 and 100. With regard to the chemical called PROP, which is 6-propyl-thiouracil or something like that, PROP, with regard to that chemical, which is very bitter, some people are super tasters and find it so bitter that they hate it. They've got the 400 taste buds per square centimetre. And then the next one's down, the medium tasters, with only 200, they find it not too bad. And then the next one down with only 100, they're the non-tasters, and they cannot taste it at all. They can still taste other bitter substances, they can still taste sweet stuff, but they can't taste it at all. So that's just one part of the many ways in which we are different, and foods taste different to us. And moving along to Alex Malcolm X, is it true that there are bad preservatives additives in Australian food products which are banned in other countries? The answer is I think so. Definitely, maybe, I think so. According to Choice magazine, Australia is a little bit behind the USA. The USA, which under a Republican presidentship gave us the World Environmental Protection Agency, started that whole thing going, is ahead of us via their Food and Drug Administration, which has more teeth than the Australian one. Yandu asks, thank you Alex Malcolm 06, Yandu asks, is it okay to keep bottled or canned beer for months, or is it to drink it as soon as possible? I think in general beer doesn't get better with time, but aren't there a few beers that do get better with time?
The more beer you have, the better it gets.
Yeah, the more beer you have, the better it gets. And there was Benjamin Franklin who said, God invented beer to show that he loves us and he wants us to be happy. Look, a little bit of beer is good, not too much is not so good. I'm starting to get into it and answer my question about why you're a freak. I don't know enough about you, Deanna. Is the theory that there are multiple universes, this is Nikki J-99 _ is the theory that there are multiple universes valid in model physics? Yes, it is valid in the sense that it has not been disproven. It hasn't been proven, so it could still be proven. I think there are various grounds for saying that it's true. Man, it'd be great to be alive in a couple of centuries or 1,000 years from now, but as we know from that movie Midnight in Paris, is it the Woody Allen one?
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, is it Midnight in Paris or After Midnight in Paris? The point is that just face up the fact that what you're living in right now is your golden age. Fine with that. E equals mc squared at risk of being thrown out the window? No, it is not. It is as solid as... Think of Einstein and his theories, plural, special and general relativity, 1905. to 19... Am I recording? No, still recording. To 1915. Think of him as an old truck. Never breaks down. Terrific. So equals mc squared being thrown out the window, forget it. No. Is perpetual motion and are free energy machines possible? Interesting point. The laws of thermodynamics, such a device or devices would break the laws of thermodynamics, but the laws of thermodynamics are not laws derived from the basic fabric of the universe, but rather they are laws derived from observation. So we've never seen one. And certainly one that advertises itself over the internet is not going to be a real one. And Dr. Watson asked, do we know why most of the human body is generally hairless as opposed to our primeval evolutionary cousins? The book is called, it's either The Naked Ape or The Aquatic Ape, and I've read it so long ago I've forgotten. And it comes up with some interesting theories, some of where... you want to talk to an evolutionary biologist. Don't know. Don't know. Sorry?
It's The Naked Ape.
Naked Ape is getting a book. Naked Ape. Naked Ape. No.
The Naked Ape's the name of the book that you just referred to.
Naked Ape is the book I referred to, and pick somebody to give a book to. Can you pick it out? It's too hard. I can't talk and think. I'll let you think. Take your time. No rush. No rush.
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. Big Mouth, for whatever reason, because somebody told me to do it, and I'm just basically a paddlepox with dick and a gutter of life on a rainy day, I'm giving you this book. In Depth Core asks, in aerobic respiration, the Krebs cycle, is there anything to alter the number of ATP produced, adenosine triphosphate, instead of the normal 38 ATP? Don't know. Might be under brown fat. Don't know. Good question. Need to speak to a physiologist and see what the latest is with the aerobic respiration. Does listen to an MP3 player loudly use more battery power than if you listen to it at a lesser volume? Yes, because you want the speaker and the headphone to go backwards and forwards more, therefore it needs more electrical energy to make it go forward, therefore the battery will go flatter sooner. That is Muzbot, M-U-Z or Z-B-O-T. Will quantum levitations, 23 Haggis, give us hover cars? You're talking about that video been going around where they use the new and unusual term of quantum locking. The correct term, I use the word correct so that then you can chase it up in the scientific literature, is, the correct term is flux pinning. Flux pinning. And yes, you can have a hover car if you can have a very thin hover blade. Has to be thin. You can keep it cold with liquid nitrogen, which is okay because liquid nitrogen is cheaper than milk on a litre for litre basis, and you have gone to the trouble of building and powering up an underground magnetic track to wherever you want to go. Under those circumstances, and you've got to have your trailer of liquid nitrogen, you can have a hoverboard. Actually, that'd be a good thing for a fun park, wouldn't it? Except what if you fell off?
Who asked that?
That was 23 Haggis asked that.
23
Haggis, thank you for that. You get a free book. Flux pinning. If you want to chase it up, look up flux pinning. Big Mouth 87 says, I'm fat. What foods can you eat to not gain weight if you sit down at work all day? Mate, buy my book, but also buy the book by Michael Pollan, possibly buy his first, In Defense of Food. Michael Pollan, In Defense of Food. 7 magic words. Eat food, comma, mostly vegetables, comma, not too much. By food, we mean stuff that is not blister packed, vacuum sealed, and you need a pneumatic drill or a small nuclear device to open. No. For stuff that your parents and grandparents would recognise. So take it that, read his book, it's a good start. What would the night sky look like on a typical planet inside a random location inside a globular cluster? Okay, that is McLaughlin. The sky, in the night sky, we can see about 1,000 stars. Get a bunch of 5 friends, go out, lay your heads in a circle, attend a circle with your heads touching, work out a sector of sky, 1/6 of the sky, count them, you come to about 1,000 on a clear night that has no moon. Our nearest star is about 4 light years away. In globular clusters, there's maybe 10 in that distance. They're all over the place. You see tens of thousands. And according to Brian Gaines in his latest book, which is a very fine book called Something, 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 The Extreme Universe, if we were in one of those dust clouds that are out there, and it came across us, We couldn't even see the nearest stars. Oh, the tragedy. Hang on. Georgia Sparkle says, you've got a peer-reviewed article about the ring of fire, you know, the anal burn after eating hot foods. There are receptors in mice, so receptors for capsaicin, which is the stuff that's hot in chilies, in mice, so probably in humans. Man, Georgia, do ring us, you know the number, and we'll send you a free book, one of these. But you get a free book with a full autograph if you can find out one in humans. And by the way, with regard to capsaicin, on your tongue there are receptors that when they get hotness landing on them, you know, like temperature hotness, say your brain is hot, and they're the ones that are affected by this chemical called capsaicin, so they fire and they tell the same part of the brain is hot. Hips McGarvey, my God, I think this one deserves a book. Hips McGarvey has said, Dr. Karl, the density of a black hole is inversely proportional to the square of the mass. Therefore, a massive black hole can have a very low density. Now, the one at the centre of our galaxy is 3 million times the mass of our sun. And I think the record, according to Brian Gaines' book, The Extreme Universe, is 3 billion? Man. Can we get an astrophysicist to confirm that for us? But I think it sounds reasonable. Okay, moving along. So Hips McGarvey, a book for you, that finance, and they're scrolling up to the top to the 32 new tweets that have come in. How do I get my free book? Call the number on the website. Sorry, what was that? Slower. It's the pressure of all those things coming at me. How do you get your free book? Just ring us. You know, the university number. You know the one, Georgia. Oh, Georgia Sparkle.
Yeah, we're giving Georgia Sparkle.
You're getting one anyway, Georgia Sparkle. Don't you worry. But how does Georgia Sparkle get the book? Should we just point this out for?
We'll contact them.
We will contact. What do we?
We'll tweet them later.
You'll tweet them later. Have you activated the cameras in their houses so you can see what they're doing? There is no privacy. No.
I'll already send a thing out saying if you want a book.
Okay. The colleagues here for Samantha, Hayley, and Caroline. Thank you. Big Mouth 87 asks, are plastic water bottles cancer causing? The BPA thing is that's what they're talking about, bisphenol A, which they wouldn't let the Food and President Bush wouldn't allow the Food and Drug Administration in America to investigate. Now is being investigated. I think it's thought to be cancer causing if it's got BPA. And if you look on the bottom of the bottle, there's a 7 in that little triangle-y thing. I think that's right. I'm not sure. Is glass better? Glass is better. Stainless steel is good too. Why do mosquitoes, according to day terrors, prefer certain people? It's just the luck of the draw. With my family, I can be sitting outside, and the males, my son and I, no mozzies. Females, wife and 2 daughters, get eaten. Alex Malcolm 06.
Isn't there some cheese?
A cheese that attracts them?
Gets rid of them?
Is there a cheese?
Lindbergh.
Lindbergh is the cheese that has the same smell as the stuff between your toes.
Bart Knowles.
Bart Knowles?
The guy that wrote the paper on it.
He wrote the paper on it. And that's a smell, but is that related to whether the mozzies will come and get you? Hard.
Useless bit of
Man, I'm amazed that this thing is still working. We're running, I've got 2 processors, I've got 6 gig of RAM, I've got a 7,200 RPM hard drive, 6 gig of RAM, and I'm running at about 90% of both the processors. I'm only using half my RAM. So the problem is with my computer, I'm using about 80% of my twin processors. The RAM, I've got RAM to burn, but the processors are going flat out. Need more processors. Alex Malcolm 06 says, is spontaneous human combustion in humans real? Well, you didn't read my 30th book, but the answer is definitely maybe. 400 cases, 200 cases, 4 centuries, a lot of evidence to say that it is real, except for the fact that nobody has ever done it in front of a panel of experts. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. The case is getting stronger. Why Alison Blacker? We've had Alison Blacker before. Has Alison Blacker got a book? They're really trying hard. Why can't you use telephones on planes and in hospitals? Because you might accidentally interfere with some of their radio transmitters. Alison Blacker is getting a book. However, I was reading my way, as I'm sure most of you do, through not just Aviation Week and Space Technology, but also Business and Commercial Aviation. And it turns out that the paper maps, which are the Jeppesen maps, are being replaced by iPad maps, which will be used by the men and women in the flight deck. So therefore, the main reason now to not use these devices is if there is a crash, not to have stuff flying around the cabin that'll hit people on the head and kill them. I do know the terrible case of a young medical student with a 3-kilogram textbook on the so-called parcel tray at the back of the car, in an old car, who ran into a truck and the book came forward and decapitated her. Ah, uplifting. That's a bit of a downer, man. And depth core, surely they're saying that they're staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning. So they must be in the United Kingdom. Okay, depth core, asking a question on ATB at least deserves a great book to read, such as Brain Food. Okay, we'll send it via airmail to you in the United Kingdom. Only staying up till 4 a.m. Thank you. 14 new tweets, and come on down. Oh, a bit slow. There's a processor cycle. It's up to 90%. Oh, man. I Heart Simples. Oh, we love you too, Dr. Declan. Is Kimmy Abbott, Kimberly wants to know, will wireless power electricity ever be possible? It is already possible in, number 1, electric toothbrushes, and 2, on mobile phones and devices that don't take a huge amount of current to run, like milliamps rather than amps or tens of amps. ABC Crusader in Christchurch in New Zealand noticed the moon sun was extremely large. It was twilight. If it was twilight and it was a full moon, therefore it would be the moon would have been on the horizon. Nobody knows why it's bigger on the horizon. Whole bunch of theories, nobody knows. 99% fat free says, how close are we to having cold fusion power? For the last 50 years we've been 20 years away from it. We're now getting down to about 10 years away. What will be the consequences when the world runs out of helium? Bad. Need liquid helium for certain scientific experiments and for MRIs and so forth. Should save the liquid helium. Samantha, why did my hair grow back curly after chemotherapy? Oh, you poor bugger. I hope it turns out okay. I hope you're past the 5-year survival thing and back into the regular stream of life expectancy. Why did your hair change after chemotherapy? We don't know. The best theory we've come up with is that the little factories, the follicles, are getting hit so hard by these nasty chemotherapeutic drugs, it somehow resets them. I know that's a dumb explanation. It's almost certainly something to do with epigenetics. So the DNA has not changed, but the way that the DNA is being read has changed. So, and I hope you've got a good survival.
We'll give you a free book.
And we'll give you Samantha Dikizio, I forgot the pronunciation wrong. A free book to you. And Depth Core, look, I'm really sorry I said you were in England. You're in Scotland. Oh, how can I? I'm sorry. You're calling now. What is Nick91? What is the physiological reaction when I see my own blood to make me faint, but not when I see other people's blood? In my case, as a medical doctor, I could stab people all day and take blood out of them and not faint. But when I gave blood, I would faint. It's something to do with the vagal reaction, VAGAL, or the vagus nerve. Or if you want to get fancier, look up Wikipedia for vasovagal reaction, VASO-VAGAL. There's almost certainly some sort of vasovagal reaction, but where in the pathway it happens, don't know. If, says Rusty Pierce, you have sinuses in your nose, well, the sinuses are not in your nose, they're here, to heat up air before it gets to your lungs. Oh, no, they don't do that. The sinuses in your nose, or here, they don't heat up the air before it gets to your lungs. The erectile tissue in your nose heats up the air because you've got, what are they called again? The rectal, the 3 folds of erectile tissue on each nostril. The vomeronasal is higher. Oh, the erectile tissue. Yeah, you have three lots of erectile tissue in your body: the penis, the clitoris, and in the nose. But not all in one person. Otherwise, you'd be a hermaphrodite, which is not impossible. So what happens is these tissues in your nose, they swell and they make on one side and the other, and they slow the air down. There's a combination of that erectile tissue in your nose. Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. The erectile tissue in your nose, plus the hairs, plus the convoluted pathway, which means that the air gets heated up before you get there. And if you do a run like my mate did down in the Antarctic, run around the South Pole on the coldest day of the year to be in a 300 club, he went too fast the second time and he breathed too deeply and got frostbite down his airways. And James Jeffrey says it's two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen atom making up a molecule. State merely depends on the temperature. Okay. Okay, I must have said something. Oh, sorry. Sandra Mill says Michael Pollan's 7 words actually are eat food, comma, not too much, mostly pants. Okay, so I've got it in the wrong order. Eat food, full stop, not too much, full stop, mostly plants. Yeah, okay. Right. Rolling to the top again for the 19 new tweets. No. It's not. Is it the erector pili? Erector pili for the erectile tissue in your nose. Do animals that hibernate wake up at all during the hibernation, or do they stay awake for the entire period? We're learning about it, and they do wake up for a bit, walk around, and go back down again. The weird thing is they don't get osteoporosis like people do when they lie down and do nothing. Weird man. So Sam, you're 40, you're 4 years post breast cancer, BRCA1 gene, 5th generation, and you're doing great. Oh, look, I'm glad. Oh, I like happy endings. And do plants feel pain? Don't know what you mean by the word pain in the context of a plant. We know because they're too different from us. So with fish, you can do things that make them unhappy, and they have reactions typical of the reactions that they have when they're agitated. So you can cause them pain, and they have agitated type reactions, and they're similar to us enough that when you give them morphine, it'll kill the pain. And so you give them morphine and you do something that will cause them pain, and then they don't have the agitated reaction. So going down that sort of similarity pathway, you can say, okay, fish do feel pain. But plants, look, okay, this is what I know about plants. You've got a bunch of trees in a big paddock. They're all spread across. At one end, a virus comes in and starts attacking them. Those trees make chemicals to fight the virus. And way at the other end of the paddock, even though those trees have not yet been attacked, they'll start making that same chemical. So they talk to each other. Do they feel pain? Don't know. It's a hard one.
Free books of DRM 11289 because it's nerdy.
DRM 11289 gets a free book because what, their name is nerdy or they are nerdy?
Both.
But what if there are 11289 free people, other people before them called DRM?
DRM 11288.
11288. Okay, so DRM 11288. Okay, you get a book. DRM. Wait. Why do says Day Terrors, why do my toenails smell nicer after being picked with your fingernails than they do when you cut them with your clippers?
Why are you sniffing your toenails?
Yeah, I can't quite visualise that, because on one hand you're saying when you cut them with the clippers, so you cut the clippers, you got the toenail, and the toenail is sitting there on tissue paper ready to be thrown out. And the other half of the question is, why do my toenails smell nicer after being picked with my fingernail? So what, you use your fingernail to clean out the dirt underneath.
Yeah, probably again.
But they're two different things. One's a toenail still on the body.
Taken off, but with your finger.
Oh, you can actually.
You
wouldn't take off your finger. No, you wouldn't take off your toenails with your fingernails, would you? I mean, you could, but then
if that's what you're into.
Yeah, but the trouble is then you get ingrown toenails.
Yeah,
that's really nasty.
It might be like a fetish.
Could be a fetish. Yeah, we all have our fetishes. Don't know the answer to the question though. Why do some people tolerate pain better than others? Is it psychological or physiological? It's both psychological and physiological and cultural. And in the hospital system, in general, 15 years ago, the Vietnamese were the ones who were the most stoic, S-T-O-I-C. And I remember this Vietnamese guy who'd burst his appendix, and he came in, and I knew him, because his tummy had been grumbling, and then he was walking in really sort of stiff. And I said, "How you going, John?" He says, "Oh, yeah, all right." And I said, "Oh, well, let's just have a look at you." And so he lay on the bed, and I felt his tummy. I'm not kidding. It was like I was pressing onto the desk, a wooden desk. And he was a very lean guy, so I got a coin, and I said, "Do you mind?" And I just dropped the coin on his belly, and it bounced. And I called all the doctors and nurses in to have a look at it. And he had gone into guarding, G-U-A-R-D-I-N-G, when the abdominal muscles spontaneously spasm to protect any movement, to reduce the pain. And you and me and everybody else, we would be weeping if we had burst an appendix. And he was saying, "Oh, yeah, I guess it hurts a bit. Yeah, it does hurt a bit, yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah." Anyway, so there is that cultural factor as well. And another question, how many GBs a photo, exactly the same photo? Okay, how many gigabytes do you have to have in a photo to have the same resolution as eyesight? We did answer that a while ago. Can't remember the answer. I think it's of the order of, to mimic film, you've got to go for 30 megabytes. For the eye, I think it's 2 gigabytes. I can't remember. Erectile pilia under the skin, says Girly Brain. So they're the ones that pull it. So what's the name of the erectile tissue in the nose? Damn. I don't know the answer. I've forgotten temporarily. Another question. A friend gets extremely itchy legs when he runs. Just started running again after 8 years doing minimal exercise. What would that be? Don't know. Obviously, there's something that's causing the release of histamine from the itch nerves. What that is, don't know. Is strenuous exercise, 24-hour solo mountain bike race, continuous racing, bad for your health? They seem to come out of okay, so long as you don't pick up any injuries that you stay with for the rest of your life. I think it's okay. Robocow wants to know what happens if all the bees in the world die. Man, we're in big trouble with pollination of our agricultural crops. They do some percentage of it all. I think it's 30%, 60%. Haley Crandall wants to know if the universe is expanding. It does seem to be. What is your theory on what it's expanding into? Don't know. That's a Nobel Prize question. Is it into the multiverse? That is a Nobel Prize great question. Large Hat wants to know why battery technology on mobile devices has not kept pace with other technologies. It hasn't, has it? It just hasn't. Part of the problem is that as you increase the battery, the amount of energy, I think it's 100 joules per kilogram for a lead-acid battery, 400 on a lithium and 800 on a super-duper experimental lab one, 800 joules per kilogram. The trouble is that then you're ending up with so much energy, you're getting up to the energy of petrol. And sure, you want more energy in your battery, but then imagine they wouldn't let you walk with petrol in an open container into a supermarket, but you can, it could go bang, and a battery with very high energy could go bang. That's the problem. Bastard Sheep says, moon larger on the horizon. I thought it was established due to the lensing effect of the atmosphere. Bastard Sheep, you are very lucky we've given you the book, because for that answer we take it back. The lensing effect of the atmosphere. Okay, when you look straight up, you're looking through one thickness of atmosphere. We call this the OAM, or the optical air max. When you look through at the horizon, you're looking through at a greater mass, optical air mass, 20 times. It would make the moon smaller, not larger. You keep your book. Do insects...
Erectile concha, says Rusty Pierce.
The Conchi, C-O-N-C-H-A-E.
Let's give a free book to Rusty Pierce.
Rusty Pierce, you get a free book for telling us about the third bit of erectile tissue in the human body. Somebody watched me while I was on the toilet. Did you? I love things that are open to interpretation. Okay. Okay, lab and appropriate, no. Is there any benefit, says Jace Armstrong, in ordering, like James Bond, a shaken, not stirred martini? And the answer is yes, bearing in mind that the yes is related to the fact that the answer was printed, yes, in a peer-reviewed journal, but in the Christmas comedy issue of the British Medical Journal. And according to their experiments, shaken but not stirred martini. A shaken martini has better antioxidant properties, thus apparently contributing to the robust good health necessary for James Bond to survive, bearing in mind that the guy is a psychopath. The blue colouring of our eye is caused by gases in the atmosphere, asks Sam Lynn. No, it's caused by a combination, it's close, of tiny particles, melanin, M-E-L-A-N-I-N, in the eye, and then the physics that's applied to it to give the blue colour, the Rayleigh scattering, R-A-Y-L-E-I-G-H scattering, is the same physics that gives us the blue colour in the atmosphere. Does the colouring of our iris influence our perception of colour? Almost certainly not. More likely, it's the red, green and blue receptors in the cones, in the retina, with the 11 cis retinal, 11 transretinal changing backwards and forwards, giving us the impression of colour. Erectile conchi. Yep, thank you, Dr. Rusty. Is there an audio-only version? Don't have enough internet access on the phone.
I just sent them back. It'll be available on YouTube later.
Hey, this will all be available on YouTube. Now, keep the clock going to stop me from going up to over 1 minute. Dan Illick watched me on the toilet in 2011. Oh, I see. He didn't watch me passing water or bowel motion on the toilet, but while on the toilet, watched me through a transparent door, or was it receiving a podcast or vodcast? Open to such interpretations. How do modern 3D films, asked Rusty Pearce, compare to the old 3D red-blue? With the old 3D red-blue, you are stuck with a black and white effective image. By the modern ones, either polarised, some polarised this way, some polarised that way, or switching rapidly left eye, right eye, you get full colour. So the old one, red-blue, no full colour. New one, either polarised or switching, full colour. Can you explain how spinning a penny ends up landing on tails rather than heads 80% of the time rather than flicking? Oh, so spinning rather than flicking. You would then have to relate it to what was its position when it took off, and then do a large sample size. Do the sample size, get back to us. What are the chances, asks Alec Malcolm 06, that reality is just a computer brain or brain in a box? Yes, it is impossible to disprove that all of reality is a construct. And who wrote that Mathematica Physica? Bertrand Russell. And he put forward that philosophical point. Yes, that's true.
Alison Blacker.
Alison Blacker?
Free book.
Free book. She says, thanks so much. Can't wait to receive it. My God, she already knows. Isn't she good?
Upside down.
Upside down. Woo! Thank you so much. Hey, but Daniel says that the upstream does work on iOS devices. Going back up to the top for the 21 new tweets, going to have a little drinky poos. 409 Malloway is watching me instead of doing a paper. Procrastination. Never do tomorrow what you could do the day after. Nose, ear, urethral sponge, perineal sponge, and vestibular bulbs.
Turbinates.
Turbinates is right. All of those are nouns. Could you possibly, Mike Oakes, give me a verb? Nasal conchi. Can human lifespans reach 200 or 300 years? Big Mouth says almost certainly within the next century. Turbinates, conchi, yeah, that's the name for the erectile tissue nose. How far away are we from nano warfare and weaponry? And will we survive? How far away from me? The military are throwing big money into micro machines that will fly or hover over enemy and then kill them. How far away are we from it? Black programs are black programs. 10, 15 years. Will we survive? Well, it all depends if you're one of the good guys or one of the bad guys, bearing in mind that moral terms aren't as absolute as they used to be. Will moving Earth further away from the sun solve climate change? It'll reduce the heating problem, but not the acidification of the ocean, and the fact that we are heading towards the technical term coming up, carbonate crisis. Carbonate crisis, look that up, and the inability of shelled creatures in the ocean to make shells. Free book to whoever you are.
Beck Armstrong.
Armstrong, was it? Who was it?
Beck.
Say again?
Beck.
Beck. Beck? Beck? Are we on a loop? I'm looking now, I can't see Beck.
City Sky.
Let's go. Whoever it is, you're getting a free book. Oh, Beck Armstrong. So hang on. You mean there are two people with the same surname of Armstrong?
I'll get the phone book.
You're messing with my mind on this one, man. I have trouble, you see, with prosopagnosia, and I can't remember names or faces. And getting two people with similar names is just too hard. Chase Armstrong, Becker.
How many Smiths have you got?
Smith, okay. People to call Smith are lighter than people called Schneider in Germany, going to the 600-year-old habit of giving people surnames, when people called Smith came from people called Blacksmith, and Schneider were tailors. Hang on, a show by Penn and Teller, talking about the pennies, did a sample size of 100,000 and showed 80% land on tails. It all depends in what country and whether the coins were fair coins. If 80% land on tails, they ain't fair coins. But then you're talking about flicking rather than spinning. I'd have to know more about the procedure before I could talk wisely. Sorry. Jared 940, if you were in space without a spacesuit, would you explode? You didn't read my 24th book. Of course not, based on that Simpsons episode. Now, the bottom line is this. You can survive in space for up to 15 seconds. Open your mouth, keep it open, blow all the air out. You do not want to have your lungs bursting, and then you've got a chance of making it across that thin gap in space, in vacuum. You would not explode because skin is made of leather. You would expand, it would stretch, you wouldn't explode. Why can't I remember what I studied for uni? Asked Kimberly, but I can remember all the lyrics to a song after hearing it once. That's because you don't put the lyrics to what you study for university to song. I think that interpretive dance needs to come back as a strong part of university education. Can I put a camera in my eye and become the king of technology? People are already doing that for people who are totally blind. The fact that you have one bit of technology doesn't mean you're the king of all technologies. If Australians and Americans were both settled by the English, why are our accents different? Because we then had the Irish coming in, and then we had all sorts of other people coming in. I don't know. I think that is a deeper question. I'd have to speak to a linguist, perhaps Dr. Yagan doing linguistics. What's his surname? Can't remember. Good question. Going on to the tweety things. Nasal conchi, yep. What is an easy way to explain to an inquisitive 3-year-old why it rains? Why it rains. Whoa, one way would be to get water bubbling and generating steam and droplets over the top of a bubbling saucepan and then blow fine particles through it, or suddenly reduce the temperature. I think run that question to Ruben Meerman, R-U-B-N, Meerman, M-W-R-M-A-N, a surfing scientist. And he has a fine brain which will be able to come up with a way suitable for explaining that to a 3-year-old kid. That's a darn good question. I love that one. Any neglects between...
Give him a free book.
And you get a free book for John Walker. John Walker. Yeah, Don Walters has asked such a good question. And they're staying up in the United Kingdom, so Don DNWLTRS, can we send them a free book for a fine question? And then links between child neglect and brain development. Yes, you do need children to be carefully nurtured all the way through to get all aspects of their potential personality and intellect to reach full nutrition, full fruition. Yes. Try the STEAM approach you're going to do, John Walker, for showing it to a kid. So little fine particles like maybe dust, sugar, don't know. Another question. Bastard Sheep says he now owes me a book. 2 minutes to go. Two questions.
What the hell would Bastard Sheep's book be on?
Direct quote, comma, what the hell would Bastard Sheep's book be on, question mark, unquote. We all have a book in us. Big Mouth is saying having no surgery soon to correct a deviated septum. Good, I hope you get better breathing. Will my voice change? I reckon it would, some of the fine timbre. It'd be worthwhile running it past an audiological scientist. It's a whole new field. It's big, man. Like they're discovering new stuff about loudspeakers, God help me. By the way, for everybody out there who has only ever heard music through little speakers, for God's sakes, on one occasion at least, go with your favourite CD to a proper hi-fi shop and get them to play it on various speakers. And I did on speakers ranging up to $250,000 each. And you'll find that the ones that are about $800 are significantly better than the ones costing $50. If you're a younger person, this is the best time, the time of your life when you'll have the best ears you'll ever had. At least listen to good music once. I took my son, and we went to such a shop, and we listened to stuff all the way up to about $100,000. Liked $20,000, didn't find $20,000 much better than $1,000. Bought him a set of $1,000 speakers, which averaged out over 20 years is about $1 a week. It's worth it for $1 a week to appreciate good music. What is a conscience? Whoa! Last question. Can't answer that one. Go to the last 7 tweets.
You've added Dr. Watson a free book.
Dr. Watson, you get a free book at 2:40 a.m. You poor bugger. And Turbinates, and sending a free book all the way to Scotland. And 409 Malloway says there are lots of good kids experiments on the web for precipitation of all ages. Just Google. Yeah, it's hard when you're parents because you're really busy. Pennies, American pennies are more likely to fall on one side. Okay, right. So it's not you're starting with an unfair coin. Was that the last question?
You just need to tell everybody.
Everybody, the new book is out. I'm being prompted here in the background, and
You've received a free book, then we'll be in touch.
And we'll be in touch with you to get you a free book. Look, this is a bit that actually gives the book publicist a heart attack. Most of the book is already on the web for free. So if you go to drkarl.com, drkrl.com, and then go into the ABC site, then go into Great Moments in Science, you will find shorter versions. Not as many words, not as beautifully and elegantly written, and certainly not in colour with beautiful diagrams and that wonderful smell. But the content is there. So if you're broke, get the free version, and if you can't afford it, buy it. And if you can afford it and you want to buy it and give a Christmas present, buy it, read it, and then give it as a Christmas present. But when you read the book, you don't want to open it past about 9 degrees, so it's a little bit hard, or just face up. Confess up that you did read it, you gave it because it was such a good thing. But I'm going to give one last question. Wikipedia has a good thing on American accents. BBC Live Show is wonderful, thank you. A linguistic theory is that the Australian-born children of early settlers want to distinguish themselves from the later arrivals by having a different accent. What do I know about nootropics, pyrocetam? Oh, okay. The trouble is, you're talking about drugs that will make you smarter, yes. Yes, yes, yes. They can make you smarter. Just remember this. Paracelsus got it right about 4 centuries ago. And to paraphrase what he said, all drugs are poisons. What matters is the dose. Yes, you can have a drug. Yes, it will make you temporarily smarter. There will be a price. Nothing comes for free. Do we call that? Except for, of course, our webpage. Well, any last-minute messages to give off to our good peeps out there?
This will be on YouTube shortly.
And this will be on YouTube shortly. I didn't wipe the recording. Sometimes you're lucky. That's good. And do we say goodbye now? Do you want to come in and just give a little goodbye? If you're too shy with your faces, can you just wave the palms of your hands? Come on, Hayley. Just you're shy with your face. Wave the palm of your hand. So this is. Hang on, I'll bring your hand in here. See that hand? See that? See that's her. Now here comes Caroline's hand. See that's Caroline's hand, and there's me. So basically, they did all the stuff in the background. I'm the pretty face. Pretty. I take the credit for it all. Love your work. Love everything you've done. We'll call it an end. Stop.
Yep.
They're saying stop.
Press stop.
Go to stop. This is like the end of Wayne's World. Stop already. Stop already. Hit stop. Okay, love your work. Love you. Stop broadcast. Stop record.